Chairman Dr. Lyndon Rose, Custos of St. Elizabeth, Honorable Beryl Rochester, my good friend and colleague, Minister Floyd Green, Deputy Speaker of the House, Frank Witter, former Custos Wilfred Nemad, the Superintendent of Police, Catherine Lord, and also the Principal of the Justice Training Institute, Karen Campbell Basco, distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the audience, in particular the candidates soon to be newly minted Justices of the Peace. You know, last year we were campaigning in Southeast St. Mary for a parliamentary seat, and virtually every day it rained. And in January this year, the Custos of St. Mary came up and said to me, "Beg you, Mr. Chuck, tell the Labourites in Southeast St. Mary to stop shouting shower." Because I've been raining ever since the campaign started. And I had to say to my friend, Minister Green, "What happened? You were shouting shower all the way from Black River to here." But it's always good to have showers of blessing. May I first of all congratulate all of you and thank you on behalf not only of the people of St. Elizabeth and the people of Jamaica, but also the government of Jamaica for offering yourself and making yourself available to become a Justice of the Peace, where you will continue to offer unselfish voluntary service to your communities. This evening, 89 of you will be commissioned, which I understand is the highest number to be commissioned here in St. Elizabeth, I think, ever. I would say, Custos, you know of my drive to have more GPs, so hopefully you can beat the 89 and the next commissioning. In truth, ladies and gentlemen, and many of you who have accepted the challenge to become a Justice of the Peace, we do want more GPs. And those of you who know of good candidates, we ask you to let them apply. Because since I've been here, we have commissioned just under 2,000 Justices of the Peace. And still, we have quite a few hundreds waiting to be commissioned. And we are now just over 8,000 Justices of the Peace. And quite frankly, before the end of the year, I hope we can approach 9,000. And I hope, God's willing, the electorate agreeing, while I'm here, we can get up to 15,000 or more Justices of the Peace. And the truth of the matter is that Justices of the Peace are needed. Because even though we have 8,000, and even though 89 of you will be commissioned, less than 25% of the JPs are really proactive and making themselves readily available to the many citizens across the country that need their assistance, support, and also advice. So, Justice of the Peace, if we have more Justice JPs, it means less work for you. It means that you have a large collegiate of persons sharing your views, persons to whom you can collaborate, seek advice, or even with whom you can get together to change communities across Jamaica. Let me put it very clearly that the Justices of the Peace are the persons who stand out in Jamaica across communities. You are the persons of unquestionable integrity, persons with unblemished character. And those of you who aren't, make sure you change your ways now. So going forward, no one can point a finger at you. And if they point a finger at you, you can ignore them, because you know that you're of upright character And they must be talking about someone else, not you, if they try to scandalize or in any way blame you for anything. We need more JPs who will be active in their communities. Because unless the JPs are active in their communities, you leave space for the drug dons, space for unscrutable leaders, space for the indisciplined, space for the chaotic, and space for persons who should never be leading and guiding youngsters across your communities. But when, as Justice of the Peace, you occupy that space of leadership, then no one who doesn't have your sense of values and integrity can compete. And Jamaica is crying out for persons who are disciplined, who are civil, who are decent, honest, upright citizens. And that is where the Justice of the Peace can stand out. And let me say this, you have a duty not only to protect and promote this noble vocation, but to ensure that those who join are persons who, like you, can be emulated. And if you, in your engagement in the communities or with other JPs, see any Justice of the Peace who is undermining or tainting this noble vocation, make sure you tell the custos. Because those persons, whether it is you or others, must be removed from the role. Because we don't want indisciplined, dishonest, corrupt persons as a part of this vocation. So while you stand out, make sure that those who fall along the wayside, that they're removed from the role. And I say to you, Justice of the Peace, as you're commissioned this evening, and you take on the role of Justice of the Peace, there are many persons in the community who may seek to undermine you or seek your assistance, knowing that they're engaged in corrupt malpractices. You must be on your guard. You must be able to stand up for what is right. You must look those persons straight in their face when they ask you for a recommendation or to confirm that they are of such identities which you can't confirm, and say, but I don't know you. And if I don't know you, I can't witness your signature. And it's going to be difficult for you, because they will tell you they have been walking miles. They have been searching for days and can't find a JP. And now that they find you, you must help them. But your integrity will be impeached if you recommend or witness a person you don't know, much as you want to do it. But it is not. Far too many corrupt persons across Jamaica have succeeded in their corruption because they have found a willing Justice of the Peace to sign the form and to say that they are John Brown, and they go to another JP who is willing to say that they are Timothy Brown, and to another JP to say they are Delroy Brown, and before you know it, they have 3 passports and 3 driver's licenses. And that is what has corrupted the system across Jamaica. So it's very important for us as Justice of the Peace, when you authenticate documents or you verify identities or you give a recommendation, that you know the person and you know what you're doing. So I urge you, bear that in mind. Because I can tell you, the Commissioner of Police regularly indicate that the number of persons who come to be as applicant in the police force, when they see the recommendation of persons who claim they're JPs, the applicant don't know them, don't know the JP, and the JP don't know them. So immediately you can see that the JP has yielded to the wishes and demand of those persons to act as referees as they go forward. So I'm begging you, the 89 of you, please stand up for what is right. And it means saying no when you cannot assist. Much as you'd like to please and help the person who is pleading with you to just sign the form, it's not in your interest. Not in your interest. They're the same ones who go back in the communities and tell the people, oh, that JP will sign, man. Just go to that JP and that JP will sign. Not in your interest. Stand up for your unimpeachable integrity. Never let anyone impeach it. But I want to thank you, and I know that you, as Justice of the Peace, will definitely contribute to the well-being of your community. Without that sense of social responsibility, our communities can't move forward. Indeed, it was one great writer, Helen Keller, who actually said, until the great mass of the people shall be filled with the sense of responsibility for each other's welfare, social justice can never be achieved. You are the persons demonstrating social responsibility, that sense of social responsibility, that will be able to assist your neighbor, assist others in your community, and become leaders. And that is what I would want you, every single one of you, to see yourself as a leader. A leader not only in thought, but in words and action. And you might say, leader in thoughts, sir? Believe me, you may not know it, but thoughts have wings. So when you sit and you think and you dream of the community as it could be, or a Jamaica as it could be, you are sending out waves, mind power across your community. And you would be surprised to see how sometimes it takes hold. And in your words, when you speak within your community to your fellow citizens, you must be able to give them advice. And when you act, you must demonstrate that you're doing things differently and better to improve not only your family, your neighborhood, your community, but Jamaica. Jamaica needs leaders. All our communities need leaders. Persons who are willing to reflect and have a vision of where the neighborhood, the community can go. And you are the right persons to undertake that charge. And in undertaking that charge, you need to improve and inform yourself daily. It means that you have to not only watch television, but read. Far too many of us have given up reading. And reading is an important way to improve your knowledge, to expand your horizon, and also to attend training. Because, quite frankly, we are engaged in regular, weekly, monthly, annual training for Justice of the Peace. And we want all the JPs to be able to attend. The next one for you will be April the 24th, somewhere in Westmoreland. That's April the 19th, I keep it. April the 19th, where we hope to have some further training and several important areas that you should know. ZOSO, the zones of special operation. Also, the NIDS, you have heard of the National Identification System. We want to have inform you more about land titling. A variety of things. We get people to come and explain and for you to participate. So training is important. And I ask each of you, please get a copy of the new Justices of the Peace Bill. I am not going to go into any great detail this afternoon, because in the bill itself, it points out that this year, at the end of the year, you have to send in a report to the custos as to what you have been doing. It may only mean that I attend one lay magistrate meeting, no problem. But an annual report must be given by all justices of the peace so the custos can know if his justices are active across Jamaica. And you can also give reports of meetings that you have arranged in your community, areas that you have visited. Minister Floyd Green would like you to visit children's home. Believe me, Justice of the Peace, when you visit these young children and just to say hi to them, it means something to see persons who care. And you must have also that sense of empathy, not only to the children who need some guidance, but I'd also go further, the old people's home. There should be a core of justice of the peace who can be oversight for the children's home, old people's home, the jails, because that oversight is necessary to inform the superintendent of what you see in the jails and let the superintendent address them, or the children's advocate what you see in the children's home, or the Minister of Social Security what you see in the old people's home. There's a lot of work that is ahead of you. So if you think it's only status, you make a sad mistake. A lot of work is ahead of you. Dr. Rose will be calling on you to participate in the lay magistrates. And for some of you to get additional training to be lay magistrates to act in the petty sessions court. No longer petty sessions. It will now be known as the lay magistrates courts. The bill has been passed, and soon we'll remove petty sessions from all the courts and put lay magistrates courts, which those of you who take the additional training will be asked to preside. But then we want more of you to be trained in restorative justice so you can become restorative justice facilitators. More of you to be trained in mediation so you can become court mediators. And shortly, a bill is in Parliament, the child diversion bill, because we want child diversion officers. And some of you will be asked to be trained in that area, because in child diversion, we want to keep and take young children under the age of 17 away from the formal court system. In essence, when they're charged, especially with minor or less serious offenses, to deal with them informally rather than for them to go into the formal court system, get labeled as criminals, and before you know it, they end up in institution, and in 10, 15 years' time, they become recidivists in the prison. You can't get them out of the prison. So from an early age, we want them to be bent or to bend properly in the right direction, and that is where we need child diversion officers. Mediation, restorative justice facilitation, all of these are meant to ease the burden on the court system. And the training for justice will be free. So mediation costs anywhere 90,000 and above. If you want to be trained as a mediator, it will be free for you, Justice of the Peace. The Ministry of Justice will be paying for 500 mediators every year. And if more needs training, we'll pay for more. But we have targeted that Justice of the Peace, 500 will be paid for right across Jamaica, so you can be trained and assist the justice system. Because let me say, justice of the peace, apart from you being in the community as peacemakers and peacekeepers, we need you to ensure that less members of the communities end up in the formal justice system. Because I want to say to you, the justice system, the court system, is overburdened. It is under stress. It is bogged down. When you go to courts nowadays, they look more like marketplaces. When you see in many courts the crowd, and the police have to go on the steps and shout in the crowd for witnesses or accused persons. Virtually 50,000 cases, new cases, come to the courts every year. In the Supreme Court and the parish courts, over 50,000 cases. And less than 25,000 cases are tried and can be tried. With the best wishes in the world, we can't try all the cases. And that is why my drive in mediation, child diversion, restorative justice, is to take some of the burden of the court system so the more serious cases are dealt with in the courts. And I have to admit, the justice system is not succeeding and facilitating the growth in Jamaica today. And that is why the recent furor with the Chief Justice brought out some very good points. That the government wants a justice system that can deliver justice to the people of the country. And it brought together the executive, Prime Minister, and several of his cabinet members, the Chief Justice and several of the judges, to sit with the Governor General and to say, how can the justice system deliver justice in a timely, professional, and efficient manner? And after 3 hours of meetings and discussion, much was accomplished, but so much more needed to be done. And both the Prime Minister and the Chief Justice agree that we must have these meetings semi-annually, which means twice per year, but definitely at least once per year, so we can address the challenges, concerns, and problems in the justice sector. But what is clear is that from now, we are going to do everything to boost the justice system. We have a new Chief Justice, and let me assure you, he's a man of action. In fact, the employees no longer refer to him as the Chief Justice. They say he's the Chief Whip. Because he's moving around and getting things done. And he's not yet in office 2 months. But believe me, because I know that he's moving fast, I said to him, tell me what you need. And he gave me a list. And I said, that list, we can satisfy it, we have money. So give me another list. So he gave me a list. And I have instructed the permanent secretary, everything he wants, let him have it. And what he really wants is more technology. He wants more computer, more programmers to modernize the justice system. And believe me, I am on board with him. Because all of our courthouses will soon have not only computers, screens, and all the necessary technology to have a paperless court system. Very soon, when you go into court, I don't want to see a folder or paper. The lawyer must walk in with their laptop or their smartphone and look at the screen and tune in to the computer in the court. and work from the court. Very soon, we won't have judges taking down longhand because the Chief Justice asked me for 50 laptops. I said, you're going to get 125. Because every single judge must have a laptop on his or her desk in court. And instead of writing, type in the information. And it's easy to learn to type because if I can learn to type, any judge can learn to type. But more importantly, the statistician will be tuning to every single judge. And every time he tunes in and completes a case or mentions a case, it will be recorded on the statistician computer. Because all the courthouses and maybe all these laptops will be connected by the internet. So that what is happening in every court, the Chief Justice, not the Minister of Justice, I don't want to see, let the Chief Justice or Administrator, I don't want them to say I'm interfering. But they can tune in and see what is happening in every court. Because that is the way we are going to ensure accountability. Because with the justice system not performing at its highest level, every single stakeholder in the justice system will now have to step up to the plate. And as minister, the Minister of Justice must start and send a signal that ministry is stepping up to the plate. And that is why we are going to provide everything the DPP, the judges want. We intend to let them have it. We are going to provide the additional courts that they want. And believe me, in the last 2 years, we have spent way in excess of $500 million fixing up the courthouses. When I came to Santa Cruz, the judge told me the court need air conditioning. I said, within weeks, you're going to have it air conditioned. So Santa Cruz Court, the parish court, is now air conditioned. Because they were using the lay magistrate's court because the lay magistrate was air conditioned. No, they can use the parish court because it is now air conditioned. The elevators across the courts in Jamaica, when I came in, some of them were not working for 2 years. In the Supreme Court, there are 2 elevators there that have not worked for about 10 years. I said, no, how can that be? Well, I'm happy to report by next week we're going to commission those 2 elevators in the Supreme Court. The one in Portland, when I visit, wasn't working for 2 years. It is now working very well. Air-conditioned units across Jamaica, when I visit the parish courts and say, when last I hear the air-conditioned sputtering? When last was it service? No one can tell me. Well, I am putting in place that all the air-conditioned units, every equipment in the courts must be serviced at least twice per year, because that is how you preserve them and make sure that the court continue to work. We are fortunate that up to last week, I heard we had money still in the ministry to spend, and we couldn't spend it. So I said, no man, we must can find something to spend it on that the courts need. And we found that we need generators in the court. So every court complex, we are buying 14 generators so that every court complex can have a generator. So that when GPS goes, that audio-visual equipment recording in the courts can be working and the court can continue. We have problems in the courts, you know. But together, we can solve them. The statistician put out a report last year for 2017. And can you imagine, in the executive summary, I read the oldest case that was closed last year was a matter in probate, which was closed after 39 years. Now I ask you, 39 years? That file must have been lost and finally emerging. But then the problem I ask, how many more that are there that could be 20 years, 15 years? And quite frankly, I'm going to ask for an audit of all the files in the courthouses, because some are clearly being misplaced or left behind. And then just recently, I read a case delivered by a judge on January the 30th, 2018. The case was heard in June 2009. 9 years later, the judgment is being delivered. The issue was in 1995, heard in 2009, and judgment in 2018. That don't make sense. And sadly, there are a few other cases which are like that. I am now paying judgment in a matter where a plane was wrongly held in 1995. And the case was only delivered last year, and I'm paying the judgment debt for it now. Matters can't tie up in courthouses for decades. Somehow we have to remove this culture of delays in the system. And I know that the present Chief Justice, as we discussed repeatedly, must act as he is, and I will support him, to have matters tried in a timely manner. And we are going to set timelines for every matter that comes to court. There's no reason why a probate should last 39 years. And in fact, there's good reason why it should be completed in less than 3 months, not 39 years. I have got it done in less than 3 months. And if I can get it done 1 week, why can't it be done in 3 months? It doesn't require judicial time. You just need to check the file, check the page, and see if everything is okay, and you grant the probate. Divorces don't need to take more than 6 months. They're now taking years. And the effect of divorces taking years is that fraud sets in. So recently, a man came to my daughter's law office, not mine any longer, you know. My daughters fire me. They have taken over, but I want to go there every now and then to beg lunch money. And they showed me a matter. And with this applicant, got 2 divorces, about to get married. And when they check 2 divorces, you know, both divorces are frauds. So the second marriage, what did they exist? Because the first divorce was not valid. So he was married to the second wife. But because the divorce was invalid, that marriage was also invalid. And now the third wife is wondering whether she should get married. Because for a man to get 2 fraudulent divorces. But the problem with these fraudulent divorces is that people are so eager to get the decree nisi and decree absolute that they go around corners to try and get it. And a few of them turn out to be fraudulent. And the reason why they go around corners is because of the delays in the system. So, Justice of the Peace, I could go on and on. I've highlighted some of the problems. You who are coming into this justice system will highlight more as you participate and see, because you, every single one of you, must assist and be a part of the solution. Don't become a part of the problem and encourage people to go to court only if it is a serious matter and only if it is necessary. See if you can mediate. See if you can settle the matters between the parties and keep the matters from the courts. Because while we try to clear up the mess which now exists in the courts, it is necessary to ensure that less and less matters of a less serious nature actually get to the courts. So, Justice of the Peace, as you soon will be, and when you go out there and they call you justice, let it reverberate between your ears. And ask yourself, how can I help to solve many of Jamaica's problems? Not only in the court system, but in the communities. How can I help to remove the indiscipline, the disorder, the chaos, and the corruption that is taking over Jamaica like a tsunami? We have to be a part of the solution. And I urge every single one of you to be a light in your community. Be someone. Stand up for what is right. Let the community feel that they can emulate you and want their children to be like you. And let them feel that they can come to you for the advice and guidance. And let your light shine so brightly that others will see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. May God bless you.
Thank you, Justices. Thank you, Minister Chuck. Wealth of information. When you're on the ground and you're involved in the business of justice, you can speak all day about it.